times. If you follow me on Twitter, his time was 30 seconds quicker than Platt from last year, and that time was pretty strong. Durbo's just ultra consistent with a kind of 46 minutes 18, 46 minutes 36, and 46 minutes something or other. Sorry, let me just chuck this on mute. And but yeah, so Dennis obviously taking out the win. Now I'm going to talk to you guys about the road race. Main focus will be the elite men's road race. Stick around to the end. I've got a couple of one dark horse tip for the under 23 women's or elite women's race as well, and also the under 23 men's. So for the elite men, the Buninyong circuit, not going to go into the detail, there's plenty of previews out there, but 16 laps of that circuit, I think it works out to be 185 kilometers. It's a type of course which is pretty, it's a race of attrition basically, and I think the race this year is going to be a really open race. The likes of Bike Exchange don't have the numbers of riders they typically would have, while as the domestic teams like Inform and Bridge Lane have got 8, 9, 10 riders. So I think it's going to be a pretty open race. I wouldn't be surprised if the breakaway can succeed to contest the victory tomorrow, or Sunday I should say. I think it could potentially be quite hard to control for the domestic teams, and I won't really, what we might find is a group go out the road early and it stays out for a very long time, and maybe a bit of a standoff in the peloton around who's going to do the chasing. So I think it's going to be a pretty interesting race. The other thing I think is nutrition, feeding and hydration is always super important on Buninyong. We've seen Harper get it wrong last year, where he was looking really strong going up Mount Buninyong, and then all of a sudden a couple of laps later just came to pieces for him. So it's not going to be super hot on Sunday. I think different forecasts say 27 degrees, another forecast says 29, but the mid to high 20s, I'd say. It's not going to be 32 or 33, so I think most guys probably won't have too many troubles fueling for this one as well. Alright, so that's the kind of brief summary, and we'll kick into the actual race selections itself. What are my three selections? Well, I'm having three selections on this race on Sunday. I'm not going too mad from a units perspective. I think just looking to do kind of shape up 1.75 units or so across three selections. I was originally really keen on Chris Harper, and I still am pretty keen on Harper. I think he could definitely win it. Obviously he's got the benefit of having Dennis with him this year as well. But after Dennis's ride in the time trial on Wednesday and his average speed and also the time that he put in, I just can't get away from that. I think it's called the Race of Truth for a reason. Dennis is clearly in some super form, and I'm happy to be backing him at kind of $11 that's available at the moment. I think that's a pretty good price for this race. Yes, he hasn't raced this race in a long period. But there was an interview on Cycling News the other day that basically said he's specifically targeting the TT and the road race, so I definitely think he's got a really strong opportunity. The other rider that I want to have a bit of my coin on is James Whelan. He's going around about $13. He's been in the mix for these races previously. He was 6th last year. He definitely knows what it takes to be in the mix in the finale. And I think the added benefit he's got this year is he's got the benefit of having that Bridge Lane team behind him. So there's 8 to 10 riders in that team that he's going to be able to rely on for support. And I think we could have a situation where there's him and Nick White in the finish or going into that final lap, and it'll be a case of, if one of them gets away over the top with one or two riders, that's going to be one or two other riders, that's going to be the end of the race basically. So it'll be interesting. It always potentially comes back through the university. Excuse me. The other rider that I want to be on, and this mainly is off the back of the video that Jesse Claw did late last week or early the week before, and it was talking about local riders that have been doing some really specific prep work, is Brendan Trachey Johnston. He's a really big price at Bet365. I think he's $51 at the moment. He's been doing some really good solid prep, some heat prep for nationals, some really solid efforts, and at that price I'm really keen to be with him. I think, look, we have seen domestic riders win this race before. Look at Freiburg. We've also seen the early breakaway win this race before, and I think Johnston will definitely be in there. So I think there's an opportunity to back a couple of the longer price riders who are going to be in that early break potentially as well, because they're pretty big prices, and you never know. I think the way this race is shaping up, it's a bit of a lottery. The early break could succeed, and so we might get one or two surprise results. I'm not keen to back any of the really short price riders for a variety of reasons. So Platt, because he's been in isolation with COVID and he's on his own, his price is pretty prohibitive. Nick White, look, great rider Nick White, and I think he's done really well in the past, and I really like him as a rider. I would love to see him win the race, but at $6 I'm not willing to get involved at that price. And Cam Meyer as well, because at $4 he's super short. Look, if he wins it, and he wins it for 3 times in a row, good on him, but he won't be going around with my money on his back. I think he doesn't have the support that he previously has had in the road race that Bike Exchange have typically brought to the race, and I think it seems to be a lot more open. The domestic teams could work against him potentially as well. So not keen to get too involved with any of those 3, but my selections are Rohan Dennis, James Whelan, and Brendan Johnston. I wouldn't put you off switching out Dennis for Chris Harper potentially. I think either of those 2 can definitely win the race. And look, if you wanted to throw a couple of coins on some of the bigger price riders at that $100 plus, you can guarantee that the likes of Cyrus Monk, for example, will be in the breakaway. And look, he might get his opportunity for a podium off the back of that, so we will see. As mentioned earlier, I have 2 other selections which there won't be markets for, I don't think, but I'm going to call them out. So in the under 23 men's race, Matt Dinham for me has been top of mind if a market ever appeared for weeks now. He's been absolutely flying, as that win up on the Sunshine Coast a couple of weeks ago showed. He's done some really impressive times up a local climb of ours here. Super consistent wattage over 12 or 13 type reps, and again, this was called out in Jesse Core's video. Just ultra consistent. I think he said it the quickest time of the 12 that he did on his final rep on that climb up at Bobbin Head. So absolutely flying. And in the women's race, I've got some solid intel that a young lady called Lily Pollard is racing the under 23 women's and elite women's, which is obviously a combined race. I think she's going to be a real dark horse, and we'll see how she goes. If she, I think she'll potentially be in the mix in the final and could probably win the race as well. So we'll just have to wait and see. But that's my selections. I tried to keep it relatively short for you guys. I could talk for probably 20 minutes about why I've excluded specific riders. But again, so my selections are going to be Rohan Dennis, James Whelan, and Brendan Johnston for Sunday's race for the Australian National Road Race Championships. I hope you guys are looking forward to the race. I certainly am, and we'll catch you at the next video. Thank you for watching. Cheers.